Listen, look at me for a moment. Take a breath. Because I know what it feels like to lose yourself over the smallest things. A comment that shouldn't matter. A look that meant nothing. A moment that should have been forgotten in 5 seconds, but it held your entire day hostage. And you walk around carrying that fire in your chest, pretending you're okay, pretending it didn't bother you, while inside it's eating at your peace like rust on metal. But hear me now, your peace is too precious to be sacrificed on the altar of someone else's nonsense. Your destiny is too sacred to be shaken by something that won't even matter next week. And your life, your beautiful, complicated, priceless life is far too short to be spent lighting yourself on fire just to prove you feel something. Sometimes the real strength isn't in raising your voice. It's in keeping your power. It's in saying, I won't break myself over something that doesn't build me. If you're tired of being angry at small things, if you're tired of giving your emotions away for free, then today, right now, we start changing that narrative. Have you ever noticed how a simple remark, a careless gesture, or a minor inconvenience can ignite a fire within you? That's anger sneaking in, disguised as a justifiable reaction. But here's the truth. Those small things only have the power you give them. Anger is never about the outside. It's always a mirror of the inside. When you find yourself snapping at a friend, getting irritated at a traffic jam, or losing patience over a spilled cup of coffee, it's not the event itself that's driving you. It's the patterns, beliefs, and past experiences that you carry like invisible weights. To stop being angry at stupid things, you have to first look inward. You must study yourself with honesty and courage, noticing what triggers your frustration. Only when you see the invisible roots will you begin to understand why your peace gets hijacked over matters that in reality are meaningless. Anger thrives in the shadows of unhealed wounds and unmet expectations. That tiny spark that sets you off, maybe it's someone cutting you off in traffic, a sarcastic comment, or a delay at work, is often magnified by your own unresolved frustrations. Sometimes it's not the person or the event at all. It's the stress you've been carrying, the insecurities you haven't acknowledged, the fears you haven't named. That is why the first step in mastering anger is deep self-awareness. Sit with your feelings. Watch how your body reacts. Notice the tension in your jaw, the quickening of your heartbeat, the clenching of your fists. These are the signals telling you that your mind has been hijacked by a reaction you don't yet understand. Pay attention to them, study them, and you will start to see the patterns that make small things feel enormous. When we are triggered, it is often because we have allowed minor irritations to connect to something larger in our minds. A spilt cup isn't really about the coffee, it's about control. A careless word isn't really about the sentence, it's about respect or the lack thereof. Somewhere deep within, we carry expectations of how life should be, how people should behave, and how we should be treated. When reality doesn't align with that vision, anger erupts. Recognizing this is crucial. The fire that burns in response to trivial events is fueled by the stories we tell ourselves. Once you understand the source, you realize that the external world is not the enemy. Your internal beliefs and unexamined patterns are. The moment you see this, you gain the power to respond differently. You can choose calm, you can choose clarity. Patterns of anger often repeat because we fail to examine them. You may notice that certain people, situations, or environments consistently provoke irritation. That repetition is not coincidence. It's a signal from your mind that these triggers tap into unresolved issues. Maybe it's a sibling who pushes buttons, a colleague who undermines you, or traffic during rush hour. Each repeated frustration is an opportunity to learn something about yourself. Ask yourself, why does this matter so much? Why does this spark feel so explosive? What is underneath this irritation? When you begin asking these questions, you shift from being a victim of your reactions to being an observer, a student of your own mind. That shift is where real change begins. Understanding the source is not a one-time insight. It's a lifelong practice of honesty, reflection, and humility. Your childhood, past relationships, and early experiences often shape how you respond to small provocations. Perhaps you were not heard as a child, and now impatience rises when people don't listen. Perhaps criticism was harsh and unforgiving, and now any minor judgment triggers defensiveness or rage. Understanding these origins is not about blaming the past. It's about illuminating the roots of your reactions so that you can free yourself from them. Every time anger surfaces over a minor thing, it is an invitation to examine your own inner terrain. It is a call to ask, is this moment about what is happening now? Or is it a replay of something I experienced long ago? Once you can separate present reality from past conditioning, your anger loses its grip and peace becomes a choice rather than a dream. One of the most powerful tools in understanding the source of anger is reflection. Journaling, meditating, or simply sitting quietly and observing your reactions can reveal patterns you never noticed before. Write down each instance where small irritations triggered a strong emotional response. Look for recurring themes, places, people, times of day, or circumstances that consistently ignite frustration. These patterns are the clues to your mind's hidden wiring. Understanding these triggers allows you to prepare, respond consciously, and eventually dismantle the patterns entirely. When you face life with this awareness, the small things lose their potency. They can no longer control you, and you regain mastery over your emotions. Another key aspect of understanding the source is recognizing the role of ego. Often anger arises when we feel slighted, disrespected, or challenged. Our mind interprets minor inconveniences as attacks on our identity, self-worth, or dignity. But here's the truth. Most of the time, the external world has no intention of harming us. It's our ego, untrained and reactive, that inflates the importance of trivial events. Recognizing the ego's influence is liberating. It allows you to pause, breathe, and ask, is this truly about me? Or am I projecting my fears and insecurities onto the situation? With this awareness, anger becomes less personal and less consuming. Understanding the source is not about justifying anger. It's about seeing clearly where it comes from, so that you can choose a better path. Patterns of anger also thrive on expectation. We expect people and life to behave in ways that satisfy our desires or meet our standards. When reality fails to match, frustration rises. Traffic, a slow cashier, a coworker's laziness. These are not attacks. They are life moving according to its own rhythm, indifferent to our impatience. Understanding this is key to emotional freedom. Every unmet expectation is an opportunity to practice acceptance, patience, and perspective. By identifying how your expectations fuel minor eruptions of anger, you can adjust your approach to life. You can learn to respond with calm and clarity instead of reacting with fury. Awareness of this pattern transforms anger from a burden into a teacher. Finally, understanding the source requires compassion for yourself. Anger does not make you weak, it makes you human. What makes you strong is your willingness to look inward, confront the patterns, and take responsibility for your own mind. Recognize each irritation as a signal, not a sentence. Recognize each flare-up as an opportunity to understand your triggers and grow beyond them. Your anger is not your enemy, it is a messenger, a reflection of what matters to you and what is unresolved within. By listening carefully, by studying these signals without judgment, you begin to dismantle the grip of anger on your life. You gain the power to respond consciously, thoughtfully, and peacefully, even in moments that used to ignite fury. Understanding the source is not easy. It is lifelong work, requiring honesty, patience, and courage. But every time you examine a trigger, reflect on a reaction, and question your assumptions, you reclaim your freedom. You begin to see that life's small annoyances are just that, small. They are not worthy of stealing your peace, of clouding your heart, or of defining your day. The more you understand the source, the less control anger has over you, and the more space you create for clarity, joy, and resilience. This understanding is the foundation upon which all emotional mastery is built, and it is the key that unlocks a life where trivial things no longer have the power to shake your inner calm. Once you truly understand the source, something miraculous happens. You are no longer a passenger in your own life. You become the driver. You see the triggers, acknowledge the past, honor your feelings, and choose your response. Small things that once ignited a fire now pass like clouds across the sky. Visible but harmless. Peace is no longer dependent on circumstances. It becomes a state of mind. This mastery begins with understanding. It begins with honesty. It begins with the courage to face the patterns that let frustration take control. And when you do, you are free. Free from unnecessary anger, free from wasted energy, and free to live fully, deeply, and powerfully in every moment. In the heat of the moment, our minds scream for immediate reaction. That sudden burst of anger feels urgent, necessary, as though the world itself demands our instant response. But here's the truth. The first reaction is really the best one. When you pause, even for a heartbeat, you reclaim control. Pausing is not weakness, it is strength. It is the choice to step out of the chaos and watch your own fire before it consumes you. Every time you breathe deeply, even for a few seconds, you create space between impulse and action, between reaction and response. That space is where your power lives. It is where clarity enters, where reason replaces raw emotion, where you begin to act with intention instead of instinct. The world will keep pushing. The small annoyances will continue to arrive, but when you master the pause, they no longer dictate your inner state. Breathing is one of the simplest yet most profound tools to master pause. When anger rises, the body reacts first, heart racing, muscles tightening, mind spinning. In those moments, a single conscious breath can shift everything. Inhale deeply, hold it for a moment, then exhale fully. Repeat. With every controlled breath, your mind calms, your body releases tension, and your focus sharpens. You begin to see the situation clearly instead of through the lens of anger. This simple act of breathing is a lifeline, a bridge between reaction and reflection. Those who have learned this power know that even in the most heated situations, a breath can be enough to change the course of a conversation, a decision, or even a life. The pause is the space where you regain sovereignty over your emotions. Pausing is more than breathing. It is about stepping back and observing. Imagine yourself standing a few feet away from the storm raging inside you. See your thoughts, your rising irritation, your clenched jaw. Watch the anger as it swirls without becoming it. This act of detachment allows perspective. You realize that the insult, the inconvenience, the small error is not worth the fire it sparks. You see the bigger picture, the broader context, and you reclaim your center. Reflection in that pause reveals the truth that the moment is fleeting, that life's annoyances are temporary, and that you have a choice. The instant you recognize this, anger loses its grip. Pausing transforms reactivity into conscious action. Choosing a measured response is the essence of mastery. When you act immediately under the influence of anger, your words and actions often wound, escalate, or perpetuate conflict. But when you pause, reflect, and then respond, your voice carries clarity, authority, and composure. People notice it. Situations shift. Even small decisions made in calm reflection ripple outward, creating balance instead of chaos. The power of pause is not just personal. It influences your environment, your relationships, and the way life unfolds around you. Choosing a measured response transforms the ordinary into extraordinary because it is rooted in self-control, awareness, and deliberate intention. Pause also teaches humility. It reminds you that you are not a slave to your impulses, that life does not have to be a battlefield, that every reaction is a choice. When you pause, you acknowledge that your mind can be guided, not hijacked. You realize that anger often exaggerates reality, distorts perspective, and inflates problems. Stepping back allows humility to enter. a recognition that mistakes happen, that misunderstandings occur, and that life is rarely personal. The pause is a gift of perspective. It shows you that your dignity is worth more than a fleeting flare of irritation, that your peace is worth more than proving a point, and that measured action builds strength, respect, and lasting control. Reflection is a practice, not a one-time effort. To pause effectively, you must train yourself daily. Start with small things. Delays, minor frustrations, inconveniences, and practice stepping back before reacting. Notice the sensations, the thoughts, and the urge to lash out. Name them silently. Observe without judgment. Over time, this practice rewires your mind. You become less reactive, more centered, and increasingly aware that anger is a habit, not a necessity. The daily practice of pause strengthens your inner calm, creating a foundation of patience that carries into every area of life. The more you practice, the less small things control you. Pausing also deepens emotional intelligence. In the moment of irritation, a pause allows you to ask, why am I reacting this way? What does this trigger within me? What outcome do I want? These questions turn instinct into insight and reaction into understanding. By reflecting on your emotions, you learn the language of your own mind. You discover patterns, recognize triggers, and uncover layers beneath the surface. This self-awareness is a superpower. It transforms frustration into clarity, conflict into understanding, and irritation into opportunity for growth. The pause is where wisdom begins. Sometimes. The pause is not enough by itself. It is in the reflection that the real transformation occurs. Once you step back, breathe, and observe, ask yourself, is this worth my energy? Will responding in anger solve anything? Or will it only create regret? Reflection forces the mind to consider consequences, align with values, and act intentionally. It separates action from reaction, strategy from impulse. In this space, the small things that used to steal your peace shrink into insignificance. You begin to respond from a place of dignity, strength, and clarity, rather than from a place of emotion. The power of pause extends beyond anger. It transforms life. Relationships improve, communication becomes clearer, and respect deepens. You are no longer at the mercy of minor irritations. You carry a quiet confidence, a steady presence, and an inner peace that others notice immediately. In the storm of life, you become the calm eye, steady and unshaken. Every pause, every reflection is a declaration that your inner state matters more than any trivial external event. Your peace is non-negotiable. Finally, mastering pause and reflection is mastering freedom. Freedom from reaction, freedom from unnecessary conflict, freedom from the tyranny of minor frustrations. Every time you pause, you reclaim a piece of yourself. Every reflection strengthens your control. Every measured response builds resilience, respect, and inner power. Life will continue to test you. Small annoyances will continue to arise. But the moment you pause and reflect, you no longer have to be carried away by anger. The fire may flicker, but it no longer consumes. You choose, you breathe, you step back, you respond, and in that choice, you discover mastery, peace, and the courage to live fully without being controlled by the trivial storms of life. Life will constantly challenge you with situations that seem designed to irritate, frustrate, or test your patience. People will say careless things. Circumstances will fail to align with your expectations. Minor setbacks will appear when you least want them. But here's the secret that transforms ordinary life into extraordinary mastery. It's not what happens to you that determines your emotional state. It's how you choose to interpret it. Reframing is the art of looking at irritation through a different lens, turning it from a trigger into a teacher. When someone cuts you off in traffic, instead of flaring up, ask yourself, is this moment worth my energy? Can I choose patience instead of rage? When a coworker makes a careless remark, can I respond with curiosity rather than defensiveness? Reframing is the conscious choice to view life's annoyances as opportunities. opportunities to grow, to practice restraint, to strengthen your peace of mind. Reframing requires a shift in perspective. Anger often comes from a place of rigidity, the belief that things should happen a certain way, that people should behave according to your rules, that life owes you ease and comfort. But life is not obligated to conform to your expectations. The moment you release the need to control everything, the moment you loosen the grip of shoulds and musts, anger begins to dissipate. You start to see life as it is, not as you want it to be. This clarity allows humor, compassion, and understanding to enter. Suddenly, the small things that once ignited fury are seen for what they are: fleeting, insignificant, and easily released. Reframing is the lens that converts frustration into freedom. Humor is one of the most powerful reframing tools. When irritation arises, ask yourself, can I laugh at this? Can I see the absurdity of letting a minor inconvenience steal my peace? Laughter diffuses anger instantly, reminding you that the world does not have to be serious, rigid, or perfect. It allows you to release tension, regain perspective, and regain control. Humor is not denial, it is recognition that the small things are indeed small. It transforms your reaction from a battlefield to a classroom, from chaos to clarity. In that space, you choose your response, not your frustration. Another aspect of reframing is finding learning in the irritation. Every moment of anger carries a lesson if you are willing to see it. Perhaps it reveals a boundary you need to enforce, a belief you need to examine, or a habit you need to change. Anger is not just a problem, it is a guidepost. By reframing it as feedback, you transform the energy of irritation into personal growth. Life's minor challenges become signposts pointing towards self-awareness, patience, and emotional maturity. This practice turns adversity into advantage, frustration into fuel, and small annoyances into milestones of self-mastery. Letting go is the other half of the equation. Releasing the need to be right, to control, or to force outcomes frees your mind from unnecessary conflict. Many times, anger arises from attachment to an outcome, a perception, or a judgment. Releasing that attachment does not mean you stop caring. It means you prioritize your peace over the illusion of control. It is in that release that freedom lives. When you no longer insist on winning arguments, proving points, or controlling circumstances, you discover an inner calm that is unshakable. The small things lose their power because they are no longer tied to your ego or sense of necessity. Reframing also strengthens relationships. When you choose to interpret words and actions through understanding instead of irritation, communication improves. You respond instead of react. Conflicts shrink. Misunderstandings clarify. Others feel your composure and respond in kind. The practice of reframing transforms your environment because it transforms you. You become a stabilizing presence, a beacon of calm in the chaos. By releasing the chains of anger and rigid expectations, you not only liberate yourself, but create space for harmony, empathy, and deeper connection with those around you. Reframing requires vigilance. Life will continually present opportunities to react with irritation. Without conscious effort, old patterns will resurface. That is why daily reflection, awareness, and practice are essential. Begin by noticing when frustration arises, labeling it internally, and asking, how else can I view this? What can I learn? Can I release it? Over time, this becomes automatic. Your mind learns to shift perspective before anger takes hold. What once triggered fury now becomes an exercise in mastery, composure, and self-command. Reframing is also a moral exercise. It challenges you to see beyond your immediate desires and judgments. It asks you to consider context, intention, and impermanence. The person who snapped at you may be struggling with their own burdens. The traffic jam is not personal. It is life moving according to its own rhythm. Recognizing this allows compassion to enter, softening your heart and easing your mind. When anger is replaced by understanding, judgment, or curiosity, you reclaim your emotional sovereignty. Reframing is the tool that transforms irritation into wisdom. The combination of reframing and release creates resilience. Life will never stop presenting small annoyances, but your reaction no longer dictates your inner state. Every time you choose perspective over reaction, humor over hostility, learning over resentment, and release over control, you strengthen your ability to maintain calm under pressure. Your inner peace becomes invincible because it is no longer dependent on circumstances. The power of reframing lies in its ability to turn ordinary moments into extraordinary opportunities for growth, clarity, and freedom. Finally, mastering reframing and release is mastering life itself. It is the conscious decision to live intentionally rather than reactively. It is choosing to rise above trivial irritations and prioritize what truly matters: peace, clarity, and dignity. Every moment offers the chance to transform anger into wisdom, frustration into understanding, and minor setbacks into stepping stones. Life becomes lighter, relationships flourish, and your energy is reserved for what truly matters. In mastering the art of reframing and release, you become the captain of your emotions, the architect of your responses, and the master of your destiny. The small things no longer control you. You choose freedom, you choose calm, you choose life. As we come to the close of this journey, remember that life's small irritations are not your enemies. They are mirrors reflecting the patterns, beliefs, and reactions that live within you. Every flare of anger, every moment of frustration is a message, a signal pointing to something deeper inside. The first step toward freedom is understanding the source. Look honestly at what triggers you. What fears or unmet needs lie beneath your reactions? When you recognize these patterns, you reclaim your power. You see that external events cannot dictate your peace unless you allow them to. This understanding is not about blame or self-criticism. It is about awakening to your own mind, seeing clearly, and taking responsibility for how you choose to respond. Awareness is the foundation of mastery, and from it grows the strength to face the world without being consumed by the trivial. Then from it grows the strength to face the world without being consumed by the trivial. Then from it grows the strength to face the world without being consumed by the trivial. Without being consumed by the trivial. From there, practice the power of pause. When irritation rises, do not rush into reaction. Breathe deeply, step back, watch the fire inside you without letting it dictate your actions. That pause is not weakness, it is courage, wisdom, and strength rolled into a single act. It allows you to respond with intention, to act rather than react, and to navigate life's small storms with dignity. Every moment you pause, you reclaim calm, control, and clarity. Your words become measured, your actions deliberate, and your presence a source of stability for yourself and others. In the silence of reflection, you gain insight, emotional intelligence, and the freedom to choose how you show up in the world. Finally, learn to reframe and release. Life is full of moments that seem designed to provoke, to test your patience, and to ignite your anger. But within each of these moments lies opportunity. See the humor, see the lesson, see the perspective beyond the surface. Release the need to control, to insist on being right, or to allow others to dictate your inner state. Letting go is not surrender, it is liberation. By transforming irritation into understanding, frustration into growth, and minor setbacks into opportunities for calm mastery, you strengthen your resilience, deepen your relationships, and protect your peace. Life will continue to challenge you, but you will respond with composure, clarity, and strength rather than be swept away by small, meaningless triggers. Embrace these practices and you will discover the profound truth that anger is not a prison, it is a teacher. The small annoyances of life do not have to steal your joy, cloud your mind, or rob you of your dignity. Your reactions are yours to choose, your peace is yours to protect. Step forward with awareness, pause with courage, and release with wisdom, knowing that every day is an opportunity to master yourself, to rise above trivial frustrations, and to live fully, deeply, and powerfully. Thank you. God bless you, and may your path be filled with calm, clarity, and unwavering strength.